do you think has been one of the hardest things that you've had to maneuver through? Where have you found the biggest struggle?
For me, you put your life savings into something
Mm.
and then competition comes around to kind of maybe knock you off. 2 weeks after we signed on the bottom line and put our life savings into it, they closed the doors and said Dairy Queen is coming. And that was just a total,
Oh,
yeah.
Hey, welcome to Chew the Fat. This is Sarah, and I'm super happy to have you back again. We're in a new location, baby. This is Union Art Alley, and it's pretty special because it's new. And I have one of my faves here with me today, Cory Buettner. I feel like there should be applause. Oh, yeah, it's a big deal. It's a big deal. We're going to get to know Cory a little bit better because we always do in this setting. And I really wanted to start with how might people know you today? What's your claim to fame?
Probably from Leo's Grill and Malt Shop.
Uh-huh.
My wife, Nashome, and I, and our boys have worked there and owned the restaurant for 15 years. And right on the corner of Main and Chestnut. And yeah.
Best malts
that's
ever.
my thing.
Yeah. No offense to other malt makers, but they're really, really good. Okay, so 40 years ago, what would have been your claim to fame?
40 years ago, newspaper delivery.
Oh, okay. You were famous for it, one of the
Not
best.
famous, but that's what I did.
Yeah.
That was my income, and that was a building block of starting a business.
Okay.
Was delivering newspapers back in the day. Back then, the St. Cloud Times, I delivered them, and then we were also collecting. So there was none of this automatic bill pay thing. So as the delivery carrier, newspaper carrier, I would go then around once a month and collect money for it. And then it was basically like a little small business where the person would give you money and then I would pay the newspaper,
Yeah.
and then whatever was left
Was
was ours.
Let me back that train up.
Yeah.
How old are you when you're collecting money?
12?
12.
Yeah.
Like, think of
13
your
years old.
12-year-old friends, neighbors, children
Well,
collecting money, just like the bill.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I had done it. I was a 7-year veteran. So I actually started a newspaper delivery with my brother, who's 3 years older than me.
Okay.
And so when I was 5 years old, I had one paper that I delivered to the LaFons across the street on Gloria Drive in St. Cloud. And then I'd run home and beat him home for eating cereal on Saturday mornings.
Did you get paid to deliver the one?
Yes. Oh, yeah. Yeah. It was probably like 50 cents. But when you're
Hey.
5 years old, 50 cents goes a long way.
It's a big deal. So you started at 5. You might win the award for the youngest entrepreneur.
Maybe.
At least, yeah.
I don't
Okay.
think technically I could be a newspaper carrier, so my brother would kind of pay me.
Yeah.
So I was
He would
his
He
employee.
side hustled you.
He did.
Like,
he
he
did.
probably got $1 and then gave you 50 cents.
Yeah. And then I
Smart kid.
graduated from one paper to 2.
Oh.
And then that was a big one because mom's like, hey, Cory can handle 2 papers now. He's 6.
He's 6 years old. He's going for the big time, people. Watch
And
out.
that neighbor would he would tip. So
Oh.
he would say here, and they were English.
Yeah.
They were from England originally, and he would say, he'd go, here's a quarter, go get an ice cream.
Oh, that's funny.
That was the thing.
Wait, how would he say it in the English
No.
accent? Oh, come on, Cor.
I-
Give it a try. I won't judge. I
Go buy yourself an ice cream.
think that might have been a little Irish,
Yeah.
but either way, I was very
Scottish,
entertained.
it was all,
It
yeah.
wasn't like top of the
Maybe it was-
morning to you. It wasn't that.
No, it was.
Okay, because that's Irish, but I don't think it really is. I think we make that up. Wait, what was the Lucky Charms? Was he the one? Or maybe he was Magically Delicious.
Yeah, yes.
Magically Delicious. Okay,
Right.
we digress. So you're a paper boy, 6 years old. You got 2. Let's fast forward. How many siblings? You had one brother. What else?
I have 11. I'm the youngest of 11 kids.
One brother
So,
plus 9 more.
Yeah.
You're
yeah.
11?
Yep.
You're the youngest?
I'm the youngest of 11 kids. And my parents are German Catholic, and all the, we were all confirmed, baptized, all the Catholic stuff. But we grew up in St. Cloud, and my dad and mom bought a farm. And then they, gradually changed the farm, like a 350-acre farm, into neighborhoods. And
Oh.
interesting
Oh.
fact
Okay.
about me is I have a street named after me in St. Cloud. It's Cory Lane.
Oh, I kind
And
of
then-
want to go now.
What's that?
I want to go and
Yeah,
see
well,
it.
you
Is
can
it
go on
kind
your
of a
phone.
cool little lane?
It is. It started out kind of small, and then it's funny because being the youngest, I always get Corey's the youngest. He gets everything he wants. He's spoiled. He's
Me
the
too, they
baby.
always say
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
It's
And
not
I'm like,
true.
all I'm doing is having fun and not hurting anyone. Just like, come on.
Just living his best life.
Right.
People quit picking on the youngest. That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying.
So what's funny is that if you go on Cory Lane,
Yeah.
that's the inroad, and then it becomes Cory Court, and it
Oh.
comes Cory Boulevard.
Oh.
and, and it goes like I could take a YouTube video and just go down
Yeah.
my road for, I don't know, a couple minutes.
Cory Lane.
And so
Okay.
the siblings are all really
I feel like this could be a road trip. Are they all
yeah.
named
yeah.
in
Yeah.
the
Yep.
in the development?
Sandy Drive and Michael
Oh.
Court. I grew up on Gloria Drive, which was my mom.
Oh.
Julie Court, Michael Court, Brian Court, and Jeffrey Court.
Wow.
Yep.
Okay.
Brenda Lee
so-
Drive. Those are all main, and it's kind of on the outskirts. So it's to describe that area, I would say it's kind of similar to a Croywood,
Yeah.
but just
Oh.
like the third, no, maybe even a tenth of the size.
If you don't know Croywood, it's kind of like I don't want to say a tangle town, but it's like a neighborhood that's all
Yeah.
smushed
Yeah,
together.
and a lot of the homes that were built there were 70s and 80s
Yeah.
style.
Yeah.
And 70s and 80s mostly in that area. So when I was growing up, my dad was the developer and construction, so we built a lot of the homes. And he also, when he was building the roads and putting in, he put in water lines so that he could just build one really good well,
Yeah.
and then the water would go out to the neighborhood.
Really? Wow.
But then everybody also had a septic pump.
Yeah.
So now that area has grown into, and it's part of the city of St. Cloud. And so my dad was, forward thinking. He had the plumbing, all the plumbing there.
I see
So-
where you get your entrepreneurial spirit. But
Yeah.
sidebar, if you're watching this, you live in St. Cloud. If you send me a picture of Cory Lane, free beer at the lumberjack.
I love it. Yeah.
maybe a malt. I don't know.
Sure, yeah,
No
we'll throw that in
pressure,
there. We'll
but
get you a little gift certificate, a little party package
yeah,
for the person.
I want to
who,
see a photo
yeah.
of Cory Lane. Okay.
And Cory Court.
And Cory Court and Cory Boulevard. Was that too? I don't know.
It keeps on going. It's
going.
like halfway to St. Joe.
I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, so really big family.
Mhm.
Let's go to what were some of your passions when you were in high school?
Oh, definitely baseball.
Okay.
Yep.
Why?
Baseball.
What got you about baseball?
When I was growing up, again, because I was the youngest, my parents would take me on trips to Minneapolis. And my dad usually drove a truck when he was working, but when he was going to the big city and taking his gal to Gloria to the big city, sometimes they would pull me out of school and put me in the back seat in a Lincoln Mark IV. And I would
Woo!
literally sit on the armrest so I could see over
Yeah.
and look down the road and drive. And all my other siblings were all in school and doing their thing, whereas I was able to play hooky with my mom. And so my dad would go in and go to a couple of business meetings, and then I would, my mom and I would entertain each other in the car with just magazines and just little games and
games,
yeah, just whatever, cards, all that.
Yeah.
And then they had this thing and it happened multiple times. So I have this just great memory of my mom and dad going, "Oh, well, I wonder if there's a Twins game tonight." And they'd go, "Well, let's drive over to Bloomington and see." And so we'd go by the old Met, and sure enough, on this, "Oh, there is a game," and I'd be all excited. My dad would go to the box
Like
office.
it's brand new.
Yeah, like they had no idea.
Yeah.
And I'm on pins and needles in the back seat, and
Totally
there's gonna be a
tricked.
game.
Uh-huh.
And then my dad would, go to the box office, get 3 tickets, and then we'd go to Mr. Steak, and I'd eat shrimp.
Oh
And my
gosh.
siblings would always give me a hard time because
I
they're
bet
like,
they-
"What? You're eating shrimp?" And
Yeah.
they're always eating hamburgers. And
So like a
if they were
small
lucky.
perk of being the youngest.
exactly.
I mean, usually we have to wear the hand-me-downs. There's plenty of non-perks.
Oh yeah,
But that's a
Yes,
little perk. Okay,
that
so
is.
that built your passion.
yeah.
And so tell me, junior, senior year, because these are like the big years in forming our life and who we are and
Yeah.
who we want to be. What happened with baseball for you?
Yeah, so
Anything big?
my junior year, I was on the varsity. I made the varsity, and we had a really good team. And the seniors, we had played together for a long time.
Hmm.
So Rick Bancroft, Brian Dunn, Muslevich, all those guys.
Was his
Sean
real name
Bourne.
Moose?
Yes,
'Cause
of
it's a great
course.
name.
Muslevich, yes. Hey, Moose. Anyway, we were a really strong team, and we had a really good dynamic. We played together at St. Pete's and Paul's. So being a Catholic family, we went to Catholic schools, St. Pete's, St. Paul's, and then Cathedral. And at St. Paul's, we put together a team of 7th and 8th graders at the time. And we went down and played the Little Gophers. And I made that team as a 7th grader. We went down to play the Little Gophers, which was a traveling international team that was sponsored by the University of Minnesota.
Ooh.
They had like 7 uniforms. Like they had changes. They all had bat bags. That was like a huge,
It was bougie.
super,
It was the bougie league of, would it have been Little League in that?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
The Little
So-
Gophers.
So we show up, and I think we all had like a red shirt. It was a T-shirt. It wasn't even a baseball uniform. It was just like a red T-shirt, and then like McGregor sweatpants. And we
I
all,
remember those.
most of us had McGregor sweatpants, but some of us
You can
didn't.
buy them at Kmart, I think, or something. Yeah, that's
But
fair.
they scheduled a game with us. There was a huge tournament, and I think they were just like, okay, let's schedule the St. Cloud team, and we beat them.
Yeah.
And this little tiny team was good.
Yeah.
We didn't even have like we were like St. Paul.
Yeah.
St. Paul's. We did not have like a mascot or anything like that. So we just like I was like, go St. Paul. But anyway, so
Like it's a Jesus team. There's
Yeah.
no, yeah.
Right.
It's probably like
Yeah.
a cross or something.
right.
Yeah.
Well, we were the Cathedral Crusaders when we went
Oh,
to Cathedral,
Crusader.
but
Okay.
the middle school didn't have a Falcons or anything
Sure.
like that. So anyway, but that built some confidence,
Mm-hmm.
and then that same team, comprised of a lot of the players that beat the Little Gophers, went on to play Greenway Coleraine in the championship game state tournament in the Metrodome.
You're playing Greenway, like Iron Rangers. Because
Yeah.
that's my neck of the woods.
Right,
Okay.
yeah.
I mean, I probably wouldn't have cheered for you. but
Larry
it's a good-
Olin, he went on to play for the Gophers. And
You remember some of the.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
okay,
yeah.
okay.
Because then next year you see him. I played against that guy in
Oh, yeah.
baseball, and now he's scoring goals for the Golden Gophers hockey
Yeah.
team.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
anyway, so we got beat by them. We played a good game, but we got beat by them. But then my senior year, we came back and we were just determined to win the state tournament.
Mm.
And we ended up winning. So my senior year, then we went back to the state tournament. We beat Waseca in a close game, and in the Metrodome again. And so that place has a special place in my heart now that it's
Yeah.
gone. But it was a great experience, and it really taught me to just go for it.
Yeah.
You know, if you have something that you think is worthwhile, then do everything you can. And so back then, there wasn't a lot of off-season working out programs for
Right.
baseball. You know, it was not as organized as is.
Right.
But our coach at the time, Bob Karn, who's still coaching, actually, I looked at quick little, I think he's won like 800 games or something.
Oh my gosh.
He coached 1977. They won the state tournament in Cathedral. He's still coaching there. So
Oh
Bob
my
Karn,
gosh.
yep, class of '88.
Well done, Bob.
Yeah,
I mean, that's
yeah.
a long stretch.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow. Okay.
He's an awesome coach. But he had us doing this Gus. He found a videotape by a
Gus Mack.
I don't know what his,
Oh.
but we just called it Gus. We're doing Gus today, and it was Philadelphia Phillies had a videotape of some aerobic exercises that was tuned towards professional baseball, but we would do it at the high school level, and we'd go to a classroom, clear out all the tables, and then watch this little video and put on Gus and do like a 45-minute workout, which there was some Tai Chi in there.
I was going
or
to say,
something.
do you remember any of the movements?
Oh yeah.
Yeah?
Oh yeah.
Like, and aerobics is kind
It
of
was
funny.
all movement and shoulder turns and all these things that are supposed to limber you up. So we
Yeah.
would do that all winter long because
Wow.
just to get ready for baseball. And then when baseball season came around, we were really good.
Yeah,
We had
yeah.
Tom Meyer and Rob Mettenberg, and
Wow.
we had some really good guys playing on the team.
And I feel like for most people, when you experience a state win, I don't know if this is Minnesota around the world, it like kind of changes you, both in your confidence, but then in your ability to maybe go after things because you feel like it's possible. When you fast forward that into now your career, do you
Mhm.
feel like it has shaped?
Oh, certainly. I mean, like,
Okay.
if you win a championship, you bring home hardware, you put it in the high school thing. They can't take it away from you. Like we won. Like
You're
that
gonna
was
bring your
awesome.
kids and
Yeah.
show that. Have you
Yeah,
showed
exactly.
your kids?
I don't think we've been there, but
Oh,
I will.
you should.
I have a video. In fact, Roy Smalley and Dick Bremer did like the play-by-play,
Uh-huh.
and so I have a video, and I think I know I've shown them like highlights of it
Yeah.
because it's pretty grainy from '88.
I
But it's
swear
pretty
that's
cool.
me. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's pretty cool.
Okay, so now it's a huge family. You have a family of your own now, and they're
Mhm.
probably mostly grown.
Yep.
But tell me about where you're at now with your family, and then I'd like to learn a little bit about your business life, because I think that when people see you, I'm going to say myself, he's so happy. Oh my God, he just slays it every day. And boom, he's just making money. Like there's this perception. But I'd love to hear kind of backstory and how things have gone up and down. But let's start with your family.
Yeah, okay. So Nishom and I are going to be celebrating 25 years of marriage this
Congrats.
June. So
That's
we're excited
awesome.
for that. We're going to take a little trip down to the Bourbon Trail.
Bourbon
So
Trail.
cheers to
Cheers.
Nishom.
I mean, this isn't, but that might be.
Right.
Hard to
And
say.
then, and then, and then we have two boys. We have Blue and Gus. And
Okay.
his name is Leo Blue Bittner, and he's named after my dad.
Okay.
And then, and his middle name is Blue, and he's kind of pretty much goes by Blue.
Okay.
Mostly
So
then.
before you even tell me, did you name Gus after the aerobic instructor that you followed the thing?
He's gonna kill me if he sees this, but it's it was Augustus Gloop. So his real name is Augustus Gloop, who is from the Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
Your son's full name is Augustus.
Gray.
Oh,
So
okay. Okay.
That's a little play there. So
That's a great
we
name.
were watching Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory on vacation while we were pregnant, and we were like, oh, Augustus, that's kind of a classic, cool name.
Great
We had
name.
already had Leo, and we're like, let's go with Augustus. It's a real strong name if it's a boy. And then Gus was born, and he goes by Gus
Okay.
and such. And then we were like, what should we call the middle name? And I'm like, well, I don't know. I expect these guys are going to fight a little bit. So it's Blue and Gray.
I think
Civil
that's
War
good,
little
yeah.
reference, but
Well played.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
So so those are our boys. Blue is a Marine. He's done his service, and now he's working construction. So
Okay.
we had an addition during COVID, and we hired a local guy, and Blue ended up going to work for him, and then so Blue basically helped build
Oh,
our patio and
very
our
cool.
addition. So that was a really nice touch, and he still helps with taking down and doing stuff as Noel Malloy from Crafted Contracting still kind of does a lot of work for us. So
okay.
and then Gus still works at Leo's. So he's an assistant manager in the kitchen, and it's just really nice to have a family presence there that, and it's great. And Nishoma and I come into work, and Gus is just, he's a sweet guy. So even though he's at work and it would be awkward, he's grown up a lot, and he gives us hugs at work and like, have a good day, and gives us a hug, and we leave. So that's kind of nice to get a hug from an employee on the way out.
Yes.
Even, so
Yeah, I love that.
they're both really good guys, really happy. They're like going fishing, and they're really important to our success at Leo's because they started when they were working when they were 12 years old, and they did a lot of time during COVID. One thing during COVID that we did is we broke down into groups, and so we had Gus and Blue and myself and like 3 other people were on a team. So we thought that if someone got sick during COVID, we wouldn't want it to go to the rest of the restaurant. So we kind of stayed in these pods. And then we had another, and then we had like 3 different pods that really worked out well for us because we never had an incident where more than 2 people had COVID. And I think that would have changed the dynamics at the restaurant. Like, oh, maybe it's spreading here and stuff. So we
could separate things.
Yeah. So it was important that, Blue and Gus and Nishom and I were kind of part of a team at home, and then of course at work that we were on the same team too. So we didn't spread it, and it was successful. We pivoted a lot during COVID, like every restaurant did, including yours, and I think we came on the other side of it stronger and better.
Yeah.
So.
When you're so any entrepreneur, right? They go through a lot of peaks and valleys. What do you think has been one of the hardest things that you've had to maneuver through? And whether you came out on the other side better or worse, where have you found the biggest struggle?
I think for me, you put your life savings into something, and then competition comes around to kind of maybe knock you off your spot. And so there was a lot of sleepless nights when for those who are around or know my story, is that Dairy Queen, we bought the restaurant, and we had heard rumors of the restaurant, the drugstore across the street was going to become a Dairy Queen, but we weren't sure if that was going to happen or not. So so we purchased the restaurant.
And what year was that?
That was 2008.
Okay.
And it was Lily's Grill and Malt Shop at that time. We purchased it as Lily's, and then 2 weeks after we signed on the bottom line and put our life savings into it and a lot of my parents' money into it, they closed the doors and said Dairy Queen is coming. And that was just a total
Oh,
Yeah,
oh my
it was
God.
a shot to the heart and
Because this
everywhere.
was a big venture. You just went all in.
Oh yeah, I mean it was something that we had,
Oh,
we
Cory.
had put, it was a big jump,
Yeah.
and then to have that competition, and a lot of people, and I thank those who would come up and say, "Oh, you don't have to worry about it. You're different from a Dairy Queen," and that's what we did too. To come out on the other side is that we made sure to emphasize our strengths
Yeah.
and differentiate ourselves from the Dairy Queen.
Yeah.
And those people were right, but I also had some people who would say, "Oh, there's a Dairy Queen coming in across the street. They're gonna kill you
Yeah,
guys.
you're never going to make it.
Never gonna make it. You guys are
Oh,
done." Like,
yeah.
wow. Oh, and they
Jeez.
look at me like with pity, like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. You're gonna
Yeah.
lose your butt."
They were saying it in their face, and you're like, get out of here.
Yeah.
I don't want to see your
Yeah.
face.
Well, at that time, I was just like, "Oh, maybe they're right. You never know." But yeah, that was it. Then we just emphasized our service, and I put it in. I used to work at a steakhouse, porterhouse in Little Canada, and
Oh, yeah?
and then other fine dining places before that. And I kind of took that background and said, we're going to just emphasize our service
Mm.
at a malt shop. We might be serving our burgers and fries in a paper-lined plastic basket,
Yeah.
but that doesn't mean that we can't fill their waters when they come
Yeah.
in. We can't, be on top of them. We can't, have a good rapport with our
Yeah.
guests, and that we can't just make it a special experience that you can't experience in Cottage Grove
Yeah.
or Blaine
Yeah.
or
Any other?
wherever.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was.
Yeah.
I had some T-shirts I was gonna make. We never did it, but I was just gonna like Leo's, like not in Blaine, not in Cottage Grove, not in Woodbury. We're in Stillwater, and
Well, you know what? That kind of reminds me. Michelle Obama said this and I don't know which part they were in the presidency, but she said people keep going low. When they go low, you just got to go high. And I
Yeah.
feel like when competitors come in just to like kind of in your face,
mm-hmm.
that you can rise above. And I feel like Leo's always has done that.
Yeah,
Like, go ahead, take your best shot, but we're going to be here.
Yep.
And you constantly do that. And I think that's why you are.
well, it's
where you are
constantly
today.
happened.
It's
Dairy Queen was the
constantly
first one
happening.
west, and then Mara Me, which was a hard packed ice cream place, came in, and they had that idea. And I've heard stories of what the owner said about me or about Leo's, and I'm like, oh, well, we're gonna again, we're just gonna tighten up our shoelaces and do the best what we can,
Yeah.
and kind of control and worry about our four walls and everything going on inside of our four walls, because we can't control what comes next, or what, like the cherry berry. Then the cherry berry came in,
Oh my gosh.
and then
doors
Minnesota
down there
ice
was
cream. So we've had it on all directions on a compass of
Watch out,
competition.
those of you that go out for Leo's. I've been watching. It doesn't end up well for you. It really doesn't. You guys have
Well,
stood the test of time.
Yeah, and we've always emphasized our service, our food quality, and we try to do it at a reasonable price, which that's another challenge. You're talking about
that's hard.
challenges, the inflation, the price of food, and then now the price of labor is very competitive, and so we are blessed and fortunate to have a really strong staff that's stuck with us through
Yeah.
COVID, through all of these
Yeah.
changes, and has really been the face of the restaurant.
Yeah.
They're the ones that greet people and seat people and cook the food and,
Yeah.
and make it what it is. So
Yeah.
we're very fortunate to have a really strong staff. But again, like that competition, and I've said it, and it took me like 15 years to kind of believe it myself. But competition makes you better,
100%.
like
Sharpen your knife.
Yeah,
Yes,
exactly,
yeah.
exactly.
It's a little
So-
intimidating on the front end because there's fear. But if you respond to it by rising, it's the best thing any of us could wish for.
Right on.
But just in the moment, the fear that they are going to take you out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that has never been the case.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
Well, and that's the
Think-
thing with
yeah.
a restaurant is so owning a restaurant, which there's nothing guaranteed. Like, and I try to keep, don't take things for granted, because it's a lot of faith that you're you unlock your front door and you hope people show up.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so faith, hope, and love. You have faith, you hope, and then you love on the customer
Yeah,
and love on your
steps to your-
business and love on your staff, so that, tomorrow,
Yeah.
hopefully you can unlock your door and have faith that people are going to come in. And
Goodness,
and then, so that's one of the things that I've really kind of tried to impress upon my staff and other people who are going into business. Competition is good for you, and don't take your customers for granted. And another thing that I guess is really important to us is giving back to the community through volunteering and supporting good causes. And there's so many good causes, and so sometimes it's hard to say no to good causes. But we kind of picked out two that are really near and dear to me, and that is food insecurity. So we are huge sponsors and backers financially of Valley Outreach.
Okay.
And that's the one, community service that I really feel strongly about, because it's food, and food insecurity and just everything around it is really important to people.
Yeah.
And it's one way that we can make a really good impact on our community.
Yeah.
So we've always that's that, and then veterans causes. And my son is a veteran.
Yeah.
My dad is a World War II veteran, and when I was growing up, Vietnam veterans were coming home from the war and not getting the welcome home that they deserved, including from me. I mean, even as a little kid, I remember I was like, kind of, you're a little kid, you're learning, and I made fun of a veteran, of a Vietnam veteran, and my parents looked at me like, oh, and then I'm like, oh, I know not to do that anymore. Yeah. But that still motivates me. And so on every Veterans Day, since we've been open, we've welcomed the veterans into our restaurant and fed them whatever they want, and they don't have to show any proof of their service. And they can get whatever they want. And we've had some veterans that have come back. They've come at lunch, and then they're like, this is really good. And I know I can go to Applebee's or I can go where else, but can I come back for dinner? And I'm like, of course. We're really honored to serve you twice, and that's awesome. And they, of course, deserve everything they get, because they put their life on the line. And as a parent of a veteran, it's life-changing to see your son go off and know that he might be in the line of fire, or he's training to go to war, and if things don't work out, he might be in a war. So those are things that I really appreciate, and that's what I really like giving back to those causes. Yeah. And then I like volunteering. Yeah. So I've got something for you.
Oh, jeez. This is unscripted, people.
And I've been reading that script the whole time.
And we have like this much room for us to move. So do I open this on the?
Yeah, go ahead.
I've never gotten a present like this. Okay.
There's two things, so
Okay.
I'll hold it. How about you reach it?
Okay. I'll reach.
You don't have a lot of room. Yeah.
I'm guessing you guys are on pins and needles. Oh.
So this is artists from. Yeah, this is their.
Oh,
from World Snow.
Oh, it all just hit me at once.
Yes. Our friends. Yes.
Oh, that's really sweet.
So as part of my volunteer, I was going around and clearing off snow, and this was after the contest was over, and a lot of the artists had moved on, and I came across that, and I'm like, oh, I know who should have that. And Sara.
I'm a little verklempt. That's very sweet.
So Sara was super important in bringing world snow sculpting to Stillwater, and does a ton of work, and uses all of her talents for the good of her community. And then I ran into these guys, and I said, hey, is that okay? Can I have this? And then I said, it's gonna go to Sara, and then Sara Jespersen, and they're like, oh, in their good home. That's a good home. That is right. You know how those guys talk. So,
I will honor that. Okay.
Yeah. So.
Man, I'm like sweating. This is so sweet.
And that's an original.
Yes. All right, I've got a new coffee cup. People.
Yeah.
This is a big deal.
And just to tie it in, so this is art, and how they create art is amazing. And for me, this logo is art. For people who knew me when we were trying to design that logo, my dad signed his name with an L like that, and I was trying to mimic it, but not, I need to make it big so you can see it from a long distance and stuff. So I spent many days trying to figure out this logo, and I finally got it. And like, there's a certain couple pinches in there. We call them tiers. There's like 3 tiers in there, and there's a lot of time. So for me, my art is our logos. So
Yeah.
we spent a lot of time on a Gloria's logo as well, which is our new concept.
Yeah.
So
I love that. So I always like to, first of all, thank you.
Oh, you're
This
welcome.
is so sweet,
Yeah.
and certainly nothing that you had to do, but I do say this, like, when a cup is meaningful to me, right? I spend my morning coffee savoring, and it always impacts me, the cup I'm holding. This one feels good in the
Nice.
hand too.
Yeah.
So thank you very
Yeah.
much. What is something that you can leave with people, whether it's a business something, a personal something, that you feel like it's your little nugget that you get to pass on as part of your, life experience? What would you say that is?
I guess for me, it's like business is business, and you've got to go to work and you've got to do your thing, but take time to volunteer in your community. I mean, I don't think I would have met you
Yeah.
and been friends with you and so many other wonderful people that I volunteer with for Summer Tuesdays and Harvest Fests. Cassie and Chuck and Brandon and Chris Brown, and then and then just Robin and the women at the chamber.
Mm-hmm.
They're such strong, good leaders in town, and I don't think if I didn't volunteer, I wouldn't have got those connections, and I wouldn't learn from them and be able to watch with them and then be friends with them and have experiences together. And putting on a community event like Harvest Fest, where there's 20,000, 30,000 people there, and there's 5 of us in charge, and you have to coordinate with the police, and you have to coordinate with the fire department, and you got to coordinate with these pumpkin growers, which
Yeah.
amazing artists, again, artists in their way, is really has made me a better person and a better business person, and
Yeah.
better, just kind of has given me, has made me grow in ways I don't think I would if I stuck within my 4 walls and
Yeah.
focused on just the business.
Yeah.
So,
Ooh, that is a good nugget.
all right.
I almost knew, like, I could have almost guessed that by how you live your life. Cory has always been heart first in the community, leads by example to all of us who are new entrepreneurs like myself in at least the restaurant business. So I really appreciate your time today.
Thanks for having me, Sarah. It's really fun.
And yeah, it's good to catch up. Check out Leo's. Right now, there is construction. Do not let that stop you. You just look at the construction, be like, what up? I'm going right through anyways, right? Support your local business. Thank you for tuning in to another Chew the Fat here in the beautiful Union Art Alley.